Welcome to episode 32 of the Player Yards Right podcast. As always, I am Sasha here with my wonderful co-hosts, Sarah and Mike. And we've had a very exciting week of football. I feel like it's just been nonstop sports, which is just great for family time. You're hanging around, throw the football on TV. Better for some than others, but we got to start here. We got to start somewhere. And I feel like, Sarah, we got to get to you eventually, talk about that Cowboys-Dolphins game. But I guess just chronologically, we can start with the Commanders-Jets if we watched it, if you cared.
I didn't watch a second of this game, to be totally honest.
It basically meant nothing. Who cares about it? Mike and I happened to spend our little Christmas Eve. We met before our family time and had a quick couple drinks at a local watering hole, and that was the most fun thing about the game.
Shout out my place. No free ads.
Yeah. No free ads. But the most fun part about this game was that a couple came in, or two brothers came in with their spouses. One was a Commanders fan and one was a Jets fan, and they came in for the fourth quarter, and they were yelling like this was a playoff game.
Super Bowl.
And we were trying to talk to them right next to us, and we're like,
they bought us a shot.
Yeah, you guys want to lose this game, right? And this guy's like, this Jets fan's like, I don't care. I want to beat it. It was just because it was his brother. And I've never seen somebody so pumped for a meaningless game that gets you a worse draft pick. Other than maybe Robert Saleh, he looked very excited when they hit that field goal.
He got right up next to the television.
Yeah, they were like,
stood up out of the chair and ran up in front of the TV.
And made their wives take pictures of them or like in front of the score on Christmas Eve because the Commanders and Jets were playing. So I think the most exciting part of that game was that those two guys liked it. Other than that, I guess I'm sad that the Commanders lost because that just means that they are going to have a better draft pick. So I was kind of rooting for the Jets there, but not many times. But I guess they both stink. It seemed like the Jets were out by a bunch and the Commanders ended up making it a game. But yeah, who cares?
I actually didn't think Commanders fans still exist after we tried to find one for weeks and could not find anyone.
He did still have a Redskins hat and shirt though, so it's like that's where the Redskins fit.
He said he would email back to get on the pod because we interview him.
He asked for my beeper number to get on the pod, so I think we weren't in a good spot.
No.
But now to get into it, Sarah, I don't know if you want our recap and then let you break down, but I feel like you got to get it out. You have your feelings. Cowboys at Dolphins. It was a primetime game. Everybody was watching it. How are you feeling? How are you holding up?
I'm holding up. First off, I'm sick of the Cowboys playing on Christmas Eve at the 4:00 time. This is the second year in a row. It's just disruptive to Christmas Eve plans. Like my mom freaking started a fire in the house on the first drive of the game, trying to make dumplings for Christmas Eve dinner. And then I totally missed a fumble on the 1-yard line, which probably for the best, but there's just too much activity going on at 4:00 on Christmas Eve. Like it's hard to focus on a big football game. And I feel partially responsible for this loss because of that.
First of all, what part of China do you live in where you're starting a fire to make dumplings? I mean, I love it. I'm a big dumpling guy, and shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Buckley, two of my favorite people in the whole world. But that's hilarious.
Yeah, well, it's actually Chad's fault because Chad likes the fried dumplings, not the steamed. So she was trying to fry them. So it was a grease fire.
Typical Chad move.
I love that for Chad. And I honestly, probably the best part of the day, at least. I would sometimes maybe take my team losing if I got dumplings. So maybe that's good.
They were good. Well, they were extra fried this time. But yeah, to get to the game, this one, it hurt. Not as bad as the Bills loss, honestly, because that was just like a beatdown.
Yeah, but that was a beatdown.
Yeah, I know.
That was we kicked your ass.
But I don't know. I go back and forth. Like, do the close losses hurt more than the bad ones? But this was like a tough game going into Miami for this one. Our secondary, I was worried about them. They actually held up better than I thought against Tyreek Hill and Waddle. But the story of this game was our offensive line. They were trash. We had no run game because of it. Dak was under total duress the entire game. And it showed. He actually ended up playing pretty well for the circumstances. But, I mean, it just... I don't know. That really threw things from here. We decided to take the first drive and go with Lupiki. I don't even know if I'm saying that right because that's how little he pays. Our fullback, who has had like no action the entire year, all of a sudden he carries the ball 4 times on the first drive. Like Mike McCarthy, that's just so Mike McCarthy, right? Like all of a sudden he's like, let's use the fullback. We have a fullback. And then he doesn't know how to not do that and to the ultimate extreme. He ends up fumbling on the 1 yard line, and that just basically was the game there, right?
Yeah.
Because, from there, we knew it was going to be a close battle. I knew stops, our defense stopping an explosive Miami offense was going to be far and few in between. So here we are giving up points on the first drive, and it really cost us. I mean, there were some bad penalties and calls. Classic Cowboys, which still worries me that in these big games, it seems we're not getting it together from that standpoint. And again, the play calling. I mean, Mike McCarthy sucked. This was one of his worst play calling games of the year. He's kind of gone downhill the past few weeks. When you take a step back and look at it, there were some real head scratchers, a lot of time in the red zone, with unproductive snaps, and Pollard just didn't play well. I don't know. I think all things considered, it was closer than I thought it was based on how we played. But at the same time, I also feel like the Cowboys are like, I don't think they're a bad team after watching this. Like,
Yeah.
it was a tough matchup. I don't know. This one is like me, all sorts of confused really on it. Like, I'm upset about it, but I'm like, I guess it wasn't as bad as I expected. And more just sucks losing 2 in a row, honestly.
I feel like the biggest takeaway from this game is that both defenses are better than I think people give them credit for. Like, I mean, the Dolphins won this game on field goals. Like, it's not like they gave up a bunch of big plays. And like 9 receptions for 99 yards for Tyreek Hill is actually like kind of keeping him in check these days. Like, that's actually like playing okay on him. Tua only had 1 touchdown. They didn't what Mostert was their leading rusher with 46 yards. So it's not like they were giving up a ton. Like I expected a little more from the Dallas defensive line, honestly, with how injured the Dolphins O-line has been. But yeah, I mean, it's a brutal loss. It was, I mean, as a relative outsider's perspective, like, it was a fun game to watch. It was exciting the whole way through, but I don't know where to take, like what to make of this as a Cowboys fan. It's like, you need to win some games on the road.
Right.
And you need to be able to beat these teams. And that just makes like winning the division that much more important, because having to go on the road week 1 of the playoffs is much more scary if if you can't win on the road.
Right. It felt like this game was going to come down to whoever had the ball last, which is ultimately what it did come down to. But if the Cowboys had not fumbled on the 1 yard line on that first drive, then we would have been ahead and we would have won this game. So that really was it ultimately, because with the way Dak was playing and stepped up, I think he could have driven them down the field if they had had the time at the end of the game to get in field goal range. And I mean, we've Brandon Aubrey. We could throw him out there and kick a 70-yarder, if we wanted to, especially in Miami and that, but that also hurt thinking about that. Like, why did Mike McCarthy just not decide to do anything at the end of the first half? Like, we don't know Brandon Aubrey's end potential. Like, that's the perfect scenario. I know you can't just go kicking 65-yarders like in the middle of the game and give up that field position, but at the end of the half, why are we not going for it there? Like, I don't understand.
Mike McCarthy, listen, he's in Miami. He's got a belly full of Cubanos. Who knows? Who knows what he's eating down there? He's a little confused. He's a little sweaty. He's a little tired. It's hot. He's not a guy that does well in hot weather. I'm
can't have ceviche and then just stand out there in the blazing sun.
No, he also was like wearing too many layers again. He like had to shed during the game, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm sorry, at his weight and stature in Miami, you're wearing a short sleeve shirt, like that you're fine in that. And he's always zipped up in all this gear. It's like, I don't understand. But yeah, I mean, when I saw and realized this was going to come down to some time management at the end of the game, like, I was like, we're screwed. And it was. I mean, his play calling when the Cowboys had the ball for the last time, like, he was, running the ball repeatedly with Pollard when it wasn't working, just wasting time off the clock. It took way longer than it needed to for them to score, probably about an extra 45 seconds, which was everything, when it came back to getting a stop against the Dolphins there. And he just, I don't know, he just is not that sharp when it comes to that sort of thing.
Where was CeeDee Lamb after that first incredible drive?
I know.
Where was CeeDee Lamb?
It happens all too often where CD comes out hot and then you don't see him for the rest of the game. I feel like that's a trend with the Cowboys. It happened with Amari Cooper all the time. Amari would come out hot and then it'd be like he's MIA. I don't know. Maybe Dak became increasingly under pressure as the game went. So I don't know if he just wasn't able to see him. Who knows?
They're lining CD up in the slot, which is like, that's usually like, if you're under pressure there, he makes a quick move. He's your like your first read. Like, and I just feel like watching that first drive, that guy's always open.
Yeah.
Always open.
We need to give him a shot.
Want to make a play.
Exactly. We need to give him a shot more and let him make the play rather than just like waiting for these perfect designed plays where he's open. Like I feel like he's the type of receiver and he's proved it where you can kind of give him, I don't know, Dak's been better on the interception front this year. So I think you give him a chance, and throw the ball up there for CD to come down with it.
I mean, he's still he had 6 catches for 118 yards and a touchdown. I mean,
But he had it all in the first quarter.
It's a great stat line.
Yeah.
And it's like he's killing them. They can't really stop him. And I get maybe they adjusted their defense. And I do think that who's their defensive coordinator? Who's the
Fangio?
Yeah, Fangio is very good and probably was putting 2 guys on him or anything, but he is that type of guy where they say it about Jamar Chase, they say it about Justin Jefferson. It's like it doesn't really matter. He's double covered. Like you're never really gonna get shit on for just like run a play for CD here. Like it doesn't matter how many guys are on him. Like give him a shot to catch the ball and make a move.
I would have liked the way that Tony Pollard stunk it up. I would have loved to see the Dak Prescott stat line be 2 touchdowns and a pick, meaning that he's trying to make a play, because I felt like there was a little bit of like they're not making it happen. I mean, Lamb had 90 yards and a touchdown. That was in the first quarter.
Yeah. Yep. No, I mean
it was. He had because I had him on fantasy, he had 20 points in the first quarter and then gone and not targeted. I don't think again till the fourth quarter. No targets.
Right. No.
And then it's also makes it worse that now that Pollard run like on the 1 or 2 yard line, just
cut it outside.
It just keeps getting memed. It's like, can you believe Tony Pollard didn't score on this? I mean, listen, it was a great touchdown, but the whole time it was a great tackle, but I just kept thinking the whole time, like all Jerry Jones was thinking about is like, oh, I just wish I had Zeke back. And
Zeke hurdled the Denver defender to get the touchdown to win them the game.
Yeah. I just kept thinking, it was like you just needed a guy like that. And having Pollard it just feels like the time where they're like, oh, who like Pollard had a great year last year. Like what if we built the whole thing out of the black box? Like, what if we just had Tony Pollard be the only guy that we went with? Yeah. And it's like, oh, part of having Pollard there and part of having that like second guy that can bounce at like it's the it's what the Giants did it a bunch of years ago and on a much bigger scale was like it was Brandon Jesus Christ.
Brandon Jennings.
Brandon Jacobs.
No,
Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw. Yeah, it's like you have the one big guy that can hammer it and you have the guy that can like
thundering lightning.
Right. It's the classic, it's the age-old tale. And it's like, well, it's like having just 12 carries for 38 yards for Pollard is just it's not great. So,
and I'm not even being mean, Sarah, but I think Tony Pollard stinks.
Yeah.
And I think you guys should be totally pass first and be back to being, you have Cooks is playing well, Gallup is playing better, Ferguson is nasty, and CeeDee Lamb is as good as any other of the top receivers in the league. Yeah. And Dak's apparently your guy, which is what you need to win a Super Bowl. Tony Pollard isn't doing it. And the offensive line apparently is great at pass blocking, but they're not getting him the holes to run through or I don't know. I mean, I've been there. I get it.
Yeah, I know. I like Pollard a lot, but he's just never been that type of back that Zeke excelled in. Zeke was excellent in the red zone. Pollard was always kind of the explosive guy to come in, like you said. Granted, it's different when you are the primary back taking more carries. I guess that some lose their explosivity, but he's stepped it up a little. But he's not a great blocking. Like Zeke was like an incredible blocking running back. At this time in the Cowboys, he was just much more versatile. And, I think just Pollard, I don't know if it's just a product of the pressure being on him and him taking more snaps and just not looking as good or what it is that's impacting, but he's definitely underperformed this year for sure. And it hurts, because that's
broke his leg last year, right?
He did. So who knows? Like everyone doesn't talk about that because it was literally the last playoff game of the year, and he came back. So who knows how much that impacted his speed and everything. But between that and Micah Parsons has really not been much anything really the past couple games. I've been seeing all this stuff about like all the clips of like him getting held and like missed calls. Yeah, and it's definitely true to a point. Hopefully now that like it seems like it's been all over the internet this week, maybe like the NFL officiating will somehow step in. But I mean, at the same time, like if he's getting held so bad and he's getting dozing and all stuff, like where the heck is DeMarcus Lawrence? Like we have these other like very strong like pass rushers who are not really getting to the quarterback lately either. So I don't know what Dan Quinn's doing in that aspect, but I would like to see a little bit more of that. Especially, it would have been nice to get some more pressure on Tua.
Right. It's like when the defense is looking good, the backwards hat is one thing, but when the defense isn't doing their thing,
it's bad.
You got to take the backwards hat off. You just have to. You have
Yep.
to. But obviously, you still clinch a playoff spot and you still have a chance at the division.
And the NFC's wide open.
Wide open.
It
San
is.
Fran, Brock Purdy. You
I
guys
know.
have the exact defense to make him look like he did this week.
I know. And the Eagles faltering, like I was like, this hurt even more
The
from
Eagles
that aspect.
Yeah.
The Eagles are bad. Like, I don't know. I felt like the division was ours if we'd really won this week. And I still think I'm not worried about the Eagles at all, but it just would have been nice to get the NFC East.
They put in Tyrod Taylor, like I told you they would, and Tyrod threw a bomb and was dicing them up.
So
all you need is a real quarterback in there.
Exactly. So I mean, wonderful transition. I mean, Sarah, as you said, Eagles are trash.
Trash.
Yep.
I think this was like ideal scenario for me, honestly. I had a few drinks on Christmas. I was hanging out at the as you guys know, the Lubunsky house, which is just a great time. And I was having a wonderful time, like possibly thinking the Giants were going to win, but then still we're not ruining our draft spot. So relatively kind of perfect scenario for me, because watching the game, it's like Eagles. I don't think the Eagles are getting back to the Super Bowl this year. So that felt pretty good.
They are definitely.
No. Do you think they'll beat the Eagles? Like, can they beat the Eagles at home? Like in New York? Like, or do you think it will be so meaningless at that point?
I think you mean Tyrod?
No, I want Tyrod.
I think if Tyrod played the whole game, I think we would win that game. I think we won that game last week. So it's like, I mean, DeVito's fall from grace was swift and aggressive and sad.
Once he switched to Rayo's sauce,
that was
over.
Yeah, I think
he's
buying canned sauce, not mama's gravy.
He's a gravy guy. I think he calls it gravy, and I hate that personally. But it's DeVito looked bad. We have a few talented players. Our defense looks good-ish. But all I was thinking this whole game is I just wanted to see a good coaching performance. I wanted us to lose, and I wanted to see a few star players look good. And it's like, it was fun to see an explosive play. It's something the Giants I haven't seen from the Giants all year. Tyrod looked fine when he came in, and Daboll's coaching looked a little bit better. He still cares about being there. It's not like some of these other teams that we've seen where these guys just phone it in and give up and feel like Daboll really, really cares, which I was pumped about. The only thing I was thinking about is when we do get good, and if we do if we are able to find better players and do these things that are progressive as an organization, we still need to beat the Eagles and the Cowboys. So that game showed me that if we have some talent and we're able to build and we're able to do some things, we can beat the Eagles. I mean, the Cowboys, I think, still outscored us by I don't know 80 points this year or something, something embarrassing. So I'm really more focused on where we go from here. The back of my head knows we need to lose, but when we're watching, when I see a 75, 80-yard play, it's I'm still pumped, and it's it's 2018. Maybe we can win this game. So I think that my biggest takeaway from this is that this year's Eagles are not last year's Eagles. They are very, very, very deeply missing Shane Steichen. Tremendously.
Yeah.
And their defense,
and they have nothing beyond the defensive line. They have no players.
Their secondary stinks.
Their secondary stinks, and they're making a big deal out of Shaq Leonard and I forget the other guy's name. But they don't have players that can play in coverage, be outside of the defensive line, which is very good and talented, and they get a lot of pressure. If they have quarterbacks that can avoid pressure, i.e. Tyrod Taylor, once you give them more than 2 seconds in that pocket, someone's open. And a good quarterback's going to find them, and that's why they're getting smoked. It's not something they can come out of. I mean, maybe coach out of it, but I don't think they have the talent. They don't have the talent to do it.
I agree. So, I don't know where we go from here. I want to lose to the Rams, I guess. It's as a general manager, you want to lose these games. You just need a better draft pick. You're not making the playoffs. You're not competing with these teams. You need to figure something out. If you want to make a trade, you want to do anything. Losing and getting a better draft pick is the only thing. But it's still fun to at least see the compete. I don't want to get blown out. I don't want to get embarrassed. I want to see these guys be able to show that if they had a good quarterback, if they had if they had a legitimate receiver, whatever the opposite of CeeDee Lamb is, that's what we have. We do not have a single receiver that you can throw the ball to. You're it doesn't matter if he's double covered. Just try to get it to him. We have Wan'Dale Robinson, who's we just throw to in the backfield and hope he can break something. So I would just love to be in a situation where we could, beat the Eagles in week 18 and I could like still be pumped about it because it doesn't really affect draft stock that much or at all. But realistically, I just want to focus on the draft pick. But it also feels really good to like screw your division rival over. And if you could like beat them
Yeah.
at home and whatever. I'm feeling in the holiday spirit. I would love to be able to give you the division win. I don't want to give the Cowboys the division win. I just want that for you.
Oh, I think you're gonna
Love
do it too.
You think
Yeah.
so?
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think too, like there's something to be said about that win at the end of the season. Like, you know what I mean? Like that brings good energy going into next year for the Giants if they're able to pull off that upset, at the end of this year. And I think they can do it. I mean, I'm upset they lost this past week, but they definitely rattled the Eagles even more. And that locker room is feeling it, after, to be honest, what might seem more if they're comparing themselves to the Cowboys, they're barely beating a Giant team that they, beat by 80-point spread over the past 2 games. So I think you rattled the locker room and I appreciate that. So thank you.
I hope so. We're doing our best. I feel like we're just like we're just a tiny little guy like going up against like Deontay Wilder or something. It's like, where I'm just gonna like keep hitting you in the middle and hope something happens. So Tyrod, who knows? Tyrod's not starting this week. They've officially benched Tommy DeVito, so hopefully he's made his money over those last 4 weeks. Hopefully,
Jeremy Lin.
Sure.
yeah. Hopefully he made some money. I don't know if he'll be any. At least Jeremy Lin was like a starter in the league for a while.
Tommy DeVito immediately went to trying to like get those. He tried to make as much money as fast as he could.
Well, he
He
knew this
knew.
was coming.
He
He
knew.
knew who he is.
I mean, I get it, respect, you like it's who knows, but that's always. I mean, they bring that up on pardon my take a bunch where it's like, a well-timed injury for that guy could have gotten him paid, but now we've seen enough. We know who he is. Who cares? He's not going to be the starter going forward.
He's not going to be on the team.
I love that like the world is putting these stats out. I'm not sure if you've seen them all over Instagram and Twitter and everything about the blind resumes of Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones. And everybody in the world's like, well, maybe Trevor Lawrence is not that good. And I'm just sitting here being like, wait, is Daniel Jones okay?
I do. I still think Daniel Jones could be okay.
Can he be decent? Like, let's get him.
Yes.
Let's get him somebody who's not, Wandale Robinson. And oh my God, the amount of dropped passes that Darren Waller had was just driving me absolutely crazy.
You have to be so disappointed by him because, like, I felt like he was supposed to be like the savior coming into the season for your offense, and he has been like terrible, honestly.
He made me money on Sunday.
Doesn't mean he's a good player.
I bet him and I texted Sasha. I'm sure you didn't take it. Did you take it?
No.
I bet him to have 20 receiving yards in the fourth quarter because Tyrod was in it. Tyrod loves to pepper the underneath. And he got Waller. Like, I think he got 30 yards in the fourth quarter. Right. Watch out for Waller in this next game.
Maybe he'll go. Maybe he'll be better, but
maybe all he needed was a more competent quarterback.
Tyrod Taylor is a professional quarterback. If he can stay healthy, he is not a bad quarterback.
His lungs going to deflate by the third quarter, but who knows? I just want to make it through. Well, I want to lose, but look okay against the Rams, and then I'll play it by ear next week. We'll see. But I don't care about the Rams. That's fine. I want us to lose. Just cover. Yeah. So now we get to a very, very exciting game that I don't know if anybody expected to be an exciting game, except for maybe me. We talked about it a little last week. I said the Chargers could be frisky. They get a little bit of that new coach buzz. Had Gift Smith, was that what Gift William? What's his
doesn't matter. He's another guy. Tommy DeVito, Gift Stick Smith.
Gift Smith. I was calling him Gift.
They're gone. They're gone. Erase them from your memory.
I want to remember this. This will be a fun memory that we'll laugh at in 3 years when I bring up remember Gift Smith.
Oh, I would have remembered him for the rest of my life if we lost.
So that I got to tell you, we were busy Christmas Eve, was doing a whole big dinner for the family and for everything. And I turned that game on. I saw that Bills were down 10-0. And that scared the shit out of me because I was nervous to have to sit next to you for this podcast. Give us your breakdown. How you feeling?
First of all, Sasha made the ultimate friend foul.
Tell me.
Which was this game. We were in the midst of what I would consider a barn burner when you would never want it to be. And Sasha texted me, he goes, I'm just turning it on. What's going on? And I fire off 3 to 5 texts to which he responds nothing back. And I am just picking up my phone because I've got nervous energy going, what did he say? Because all I want to do is talk to somebody because I'm scared. And my friend didn't answer me back. So I finally hit him with a nice talk.
That was on me.
But You know, we got the win. It's another. We need to win every game to win out. That's another one out. We're doing what we need to do. Josh Allen, threw another weird bad pick, but they played a fine game. It was a weird game. It was exactly what you guys said, which is the dead cat bounce, the new coach, the whole thing. I feel like our secondary, or excuse me, our special teams is a real issue that I feel like we're going to get corrected. I feel like that's something. You sub out Hardy, who fumbled our punt. That was horrendous. And then they just have to make some changes in the special teams to make our team better. Like where we're not totally giving up field position and everything is always ending up in like a 3-yard net gain. Like it's really terrible. My biggest take from this whole game, because I just want to wipe this from my memory, is I do not want commercial-free fourth quarters ever again.
Ooh.
And I don't know if either of you guys were like watching or like me. It was just, they would go to where a commercial would come and then talk about all the ways the Bills have blown games and lost games in the past. And I am like,
Ricochet shots.
and they're just filling airtime. And they're like, let's not forget 13 seconds. And and it's just one thing after another about how, and all I'm doing is ramping up the anxiety in my house. And I'm like, you know what I want? I just want like Whopper. Like I need something so I can walk away, go to the bathroom, but they never cut away from the game. So while they thought that was like an innovative thing, these announcers, the same way we can't go on, and we do, and I do. You got to have a commercial break. You have to have a breather.
Yeah.
We won the game. Ed Oliver played great. I think our defense continues to remain healthy and get healthier. Daquan Jones probably won't come back for the New England game. We'll be back for the Miami game. Kaiir Elam, who I keep saying, I know he seems like a bust. They activated him to the 53-man roster today, meaning that they intend to, I think, play him. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But, that's a win. New England coming up. I feel like that's a win. There's no way. I mean, if you blow that at home, again, every one of these games leading up to Miami is if we lose this, then that's fine. We were never going to be that team.
Yeah.
But we got to take care of business. I don't care how we win. I don't care if we win by 1. A win's a win's a win.
I think winning this game is better than it looks on paper because beating the new coach, getting absolutely routed the week before, this is not that bad of a team. And it doesn't matter if Easton Stick's the quarterback.
They were flying around.
Yeah, they have something to play for, and this is the exact game that team usually wins. So I was like, on paper, you check all those boxes, new coach, new something to play for. A lot of these guys off.
The winning team won by 20 and the losing team lost by 20.
Yeah.
That's usually usually a correction there.
So it's like, even though they didn't cover, I think even the best team in the world doesn't cover there because a lot of the times that team wins. So I do think that they were able to do what they got to do. And I also think Bills wise, I think the fact that the Jets won has to be better for you. Cause again, Belichick always wants to beat the division rivals.
I know.
And I think if he lost right there, like if he lost that,
Patriots beating the Broncos.
That's what I meant. Yeah. If he came off another, like a loss in that game when it was close, he'd feel way more fired up. I think that they're coming off a little bit of a win and feeling good off, we were able to pull this off. We can do whatever. They're not that like we've lost a million games in a row. We're feeling terrible. I think he'll still, Belichick's still going to, formulate some crazy shit to try to stop Josh Allen,
Maybe.
stop Diggs. But I think,
but how do you stop Gabe Davis?
That's the
and by the way, check the tape, guys. What did I say?
Gabe Davis.
I said Gabe Davis get right game.
And
and he got right.
So it's fun.
4 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown.
So we're all rooting for it. I think it's a full collision course for week 18.
But if you like football, if you love football, what you want next week, if you guys actually love football, forget about the Bills. Guys, this has nothing to do with the Bills. But listen. The Bills beat the Patriots. The Dolphins lose to the Ravens in week 18, Sunday Night Football, because it's going to get flexed there. Bills Dolphins for the AFC. The Bills could either be the 2 seed or the 6 seed.
Yeah.
What a chaos! What a turn of events!
We'll have to,
My, how the turntable, as they say.
we'll have to do some sort of live or something for that.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness!
But we gotta get
Come on, script writers, get to work.
through this next week first. But
There we go.
I'm very excited. And before we move on to Blazel's best of food, we just got to cover a little bit of NFL news. Came out today. Russell Wilson benched for Jared Stidham.
This segment is called "He Called It."
Yeah, you were on this beat about week 7, so it's about 10 weeks too late. Now they're doing this thing where
yeah.
it's the same. Mike had brought this up to me before that, saying that it's the same thing they did with Derek Carr when they were trying to move him last year.
Yeah.
They sat him last week. They don't want him to be injured, which ironically, Derek Carr was benched also for Jared Stidham. So yeah, it's just I feel like you don't see this very often where there's such a palpable, like, it's not coming from the news, it's not coming from weird stories behind the scenes. Like, you see it on the field how much a coach hates a quarterback.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
You don't see that very often ever. And this is like, it's uncomfortable to watch. So you're watching Peyton yell at Wilson. It is weird to see.
He's so angry. He's so angry.
So
It's crazy that it's like he's arguing for us. Like, I've seen it before, but like, did Russell Wilson play himself out of like the Hall of Fame? Because he honestly was like making that case, and then it's like that doesn't happen very often. Like, and now he's getting benched for Stidham, and I get that it's like the financial behind the scenes, but like, no, it's clear, like you said, how much Sean Payton despises him and how trash he thinks he is, and
But
it's sad.
if he were to somehow drop back and tear his ACL this year, they would owe him $37 million, not next year, the year after. It guarantees his contract, not next year's. It's already guaranteed. It's the year after that locks in.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'm surprised I guess they were in it, but man, I'm glad Sean Payton was probably going to have an aneurysm if you had to look at him play quarterback anyway.
Yeah.
So
The
crazy.
amount of it doesn't because what you watch might not look like it, but when they would have a 3 and out and he'd go to the sideline and you would see Peyton just absolutely losing his mind, you wonder, like, what is he telling him versus what is Russell Wilson doing?
Yeah, like, how different is this? Yeah. Which again goes back to, again, shout out to whatever my take at the beginning of the year, that who's the quarterback on the fucking Seahawks?
Geno Smith.
You know?
Oh, no, not the quarterback.
Drew
The
Lock.
coach.
That's Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll is maybe the greatest coach ever. That he can make these players that are, I mean, who knows? Maybe he's uncoachable. Maybe he's got this thing that he can make them, like, bring them to the Super Bowl and look at, like, if it's pretty crazy that this can happen.
Yeah.
So kind of funny, especially with a team that's like very much after that loss, they kind of ruined it. But like, if they had won that game, like, they were kind of in the playoff picture. So they were in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, they were in it.
So that's very, very interesting.
They would have had the tie break over. What are they now? 8-8,
7-8.
They're still not technically
They
out,
would've
but
been
it's far fetched.
8-7. Yeah, they would have been a game out behind us with the tiebreaker.
Yeah, so pretty crazy. But yeah, I don't think
know how many people to put on the field.
I don't think anybody likes Russell Wilson.
Mm-mm.
So moving on.
Does Sierra like Russell Wilson?
Good question.
Unclear. They're married, but I'm not
left
sure.
on the curb at the end of this.
Maybe.
Oh my God, he's a backup quarterback. His wife leaves him. Kind of.
I don't know.
That'd be sad. Too sad for me.
So
Mr. Limited.
Mr. Very Limited. Moving into more positive news, Blasl bets this week finished 3-2, but we did hit the stinky dog at plus 934. So that's a big W for the stinky dog. Pittsburgh and the Raiders both pulled it out. Big week this week. Very much loved it. Pulls the season average up to 44.4%. So we're creeping right up to that money line. Where we're making financial gains, and that stinky dog really does some good stuff for us.
That basically evens us out with stinky dogs, right?
I think so. Oh, sure. So we're gonna have to start out. We're gonna start tracking units as opposed to maybe just the winning bets versus winning losses, because those stinky dogs are nice. You're gonna throw plus 934 for us. The people need to start listening. So we have a big week this week coming in. 2 weeks to go. We're closing in on the season. You've been very, very strong. Let's see how we're feeling. Mike, how are you doing this week going into week 17?
I'm feeling great. I feel like we've turned the tide. I will warn everybody for the upcoming episode. Week 18 is a tough week to figure out. So I might have one or two things, and that might be it. Because if teams aren't in it, and if it's chaos in there, that's a week, if you like one thing, bet it. Otherwise, stay away. There are no Thursdays next week. So this is it. This is our last week to really if you feel like you know something, you got to go with it. So what I'm gonna do the same thing I've done. What do I always say? I'm just gonna bet a few bets.
Get a few bets. Win them.
We're just gonna win.
We're just gonna win them.
We're just gonna win those bets.
I guess things have been great since you decided to do that.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm turning it around. And privately on bets that I wish I had a social media manager that I could look over and go, let the world know I'm betting blank. On the side, I'm getting very hot right now, knock on wood. I've only got 2 props for you on Thursday night.
Good. Keep it light, keep it tight.
Cleveland and Jets defense to score a touchdown.
Oh,
it's going to be rainy. It's going to be gross. Joe Flacco's not that good.
You sure?
I'm sure. I'm very sure.
How sure?
I'm sure that the Jets are 10-1 to score a touchdown on defense.
Okay.
And Cleveland's 5-1. That's how sure I am that they don't believe in. That's the best. That's the worst odds I've seen for a defense to score a touchdown this year.
Are there legitimate players that are below them in odds?
Probably.
Sure. Tyler Conklin, Dalvin Cook has the same odds as Cleveland's defense to score.
Wow.
Alan Lazard is plus 1,700 to score a touchdown.
Jesus Christ. That's
Remember him? He was going to be their number 1 receiver or number 2. Yeah. Worse than Cleveland's defense is Dalvin Cook. And is he Abanikada, the other running back? I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that on this podcast, but no, I just believe this is going to be a sloppy game. Cleveland is going to clinch a playoff berth with this win, so they are going to win this game. Joe Flacco game, but believe me, I think Joe Flacco in a revenge game is definitely maybe potential to throw a pick 6 here. Right. They're letting them whip it around, and the Jets defense is still good, and Cleveland's defense is the best defense we've seen in like 10 years.
I like this a lot. I think
that's it. How else do you bet this game? Don't bet it.
Yeah, it's gonna be rainy. It's gonna be sloppy. Throw a little sprinkles on lows. That'll make it interesting on both sides of the ball. That'll make the whole game interesting.
And watch the line. If the line gets anywhere under Cleveland under a touchdown, take Cleveland.
Okay.
They're going to beat the Jets. I'm afraid 7.5 is so scary, but because I could see this game ending 7-0. It could really be that kind of game.
Hopefully 10-7, both defensive touchdowns. But I agree. I don't believe in the Jets even a little bit. They went out to an early lead and then looked horrific beyond that. They were up
they're not good.
They were up enormously in the beginning of that game, and then let the Commanders back in. And and the Browns are very legitimately a team that you need to be scared of. So I like that. I don't like. Yeah, I with you. I don't really know who's going to win. I don't know who's going to win by much. Root for defense.
Yep.
Yeah, just watch that game to see how. I mean, it could be one of these games where Cleveland's defense scores 3 touchdowns, and I really think it could get crazy like that. Fumbles and sloppy possessions and Trevor Siemian afraid to throw, sack fumbles. I'm definitely going to end up being
Patrick Mahomes gave up 2 defensive touchdowns
in 7 seconds
in the first half. So I'm pretty sure Trevor Siemian could handle the same thing.
I agree. All right. No likes. We're not doing likes anymore. Just things that I love.
Just love.
Things that I love.
What do you love?
Sorry, Sasha. I love Rams -4.5 at the Giants.
-4.5 is a crazy line.
That's the Tyrod Taylor bump that shows you what they think of him as a quarterback.
Yeah.
I guess if it was Danny DeVito, it would be 9.
I think realistically, I think that bump is the Eagles not being good bump. I think they saw that people think the Eagles are good. The Giants kept it close with the Eagles, so they're going to assume that, maybe the Giants are going to be able to make this a game. I don't think so. I think Nakua and Cooper Kupp are going to have enormous games. Kyron Williams is going to run for 145 yards. And yeah, I think that is a wonderful pick. The Giants stink, and people are just everybody watched that game. It was a primetime game. It was on Christmas. Everybody thinks the Giants are better than they are.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mhm.
Rams are going to crush
Yeah.
them.
No, Rams are they're coming into form too. Like they're trying to get themselves, they've really come on at the end of the season. I feel like they want to keep that momentum going into the playoffs. So I feel like they come out here and win by at least 2 scores, I would say.
Future bet alert. Bow, 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 bow. I just placed during this podcast a bet on the Rams to win the Super Bowl
Oh boy.
at plus
Ooh.
7,000. So that would be, if you bet $10, you win $700. So what you can do, everybody who's obviously betting the Bills, because I've told you they're the best team in the league, you bet the Rams. Then what you do is during the Super Bowl when they play each other, you take the cash out.
Mm.
The Rams are a serious contender in the NFC.
Yeah.
They very much are.
I think the NFC and the AFC this is the most wide open I've seen the NFL in I don't know how long. I don't know, because we went through the Tom Brady era and the Peyton Manning and the Seahawks were awesome for years. Like this, anybody can win this. The 49ers are beatable.
Well, now
Yeah.
Very beatable.
after this week, it really, I don't know. I completely agree with you. I don't know if I've seen the league so where it's like every single team has looked beatable at one point.
Yep.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Yep. I mean, I guess the Ravens haven't.
Early in the year, I mean, they've obviously
Yeah.
like early in the year, I don't know what their record was to start off. I can look
They had a
at
bad loss.
talking.
They had a
They
bad
They've had a few
it
bad
was-
losses, yeah, early.
Yeah, because it was the usual, it was that same conversation started where it's like they're always injured. That how does this always happen to them? How do they not look good? And like, is Mark Andrews coming back? I
No,
mean, also,
he's out for the year.
does it matter? I mean, apparently,
Isaiah Likely looks really good.
it looks likely to be
Yeah.
the starter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
let's
lost
see.
to the Buccaneers, who may be good.
Yep, they did. They barely beat the Bengals.
Lost to the
They lost to the Colts.
Shane
They
Steichen.
lost.
That's what I was thinking, the Colts.
Yeah, it was 3 straight. It was
Yuck.
yeah, they lost to the Steelers 17-10. So it was 3 straight weeks. It was losing to the Colts. Oh no, then they beat the Browns. Then they lost to the Steelers. And yeah, I guess other than that, they've been pretty decent. But they have a couple bad losses in the beginning of the season. But since then, they have just been dominating. They beat the Seahawks 37-3 and then lost to the Browns 33-31 the week after. So
We got to see Lamar in the playoffs. Lamar, like, hey, if they're going to hold everybody else to that, let's see Lamar win one. Let's see Lamar win because it's we haven't seen that from him in the playoffs.
another great week. Dolphins Ravens next week is going to tell us a lot. Or this week.
Go Ravens.
I am very, very
Please,
excited
God.
for that game. That's going to be seeing I don't feel great about the Dolphins offensive line against the Ravens there, but
Feels like a trap line though. It's only 3.5, which is weird. The Ravens are at home. They just throttled the 49ers and they're only covered by what you would consider a half a point on a neutral field.
interesting.
Wow.
But that's not a part of Blazel's best bets.
So what does he love?
I love Carolina plus 6.5 at Jacksonville.
Ooh, at Jacksonville.
Oh, baby. Trevor Lawrence, no Trevor Lawrence. I don't care. It's that LeBron James meme with all the cigarettes in his thing. I don't care. Carolina's going to cover this spread. But that's it. I have no insight on it. Jacksonville is falling apart. It's the Titanic. People are jumping off the boats, cracking in half. It's over. It's over.
I do feel like I was kind of the kiss of death there when we were on with Tone a couple weeks ago. I switched my pick. I wanted to do something a little different. And I had the Ravens, and then I was like, you know what, AFC team or NFC. Who did I? No. I didn't have the Ravens. I had the 49ers, and then said, you know what, screw it. I'm not going Baltimore. I'm going Jacksonville. And then since I've said that, they have looked like the worst team in the NFL.
Cursed.
I guess maybe they can blame me for that, but it's also Jacksonville. So
I have heard. I saw
probably,
on ESPN that they do blame you. For that.
they can probably an organization, but
they blamed our podcast specifically.
I'll take a strong second blame there, but they look
They
horrible.
look bad.
And
the Panthers are kind of coming on too. Like they're getting it together a little bit. For what reason, I'm not really sure. I guess they have nothing to gain from losing, since
That's
the
it.
Bears. So that's really it.
That's why I think why I do like that because they could
still lose by 6.
Right. Very rarely does a team that has the first pick have nothing to play for. So they really, it's like, you just need to win, like prove to somebody you have good, every single person in that organization is playing for their job. They're the offensive coordinator, they're for the ball boy. It's like, you just do anything to try to look good, because losing you can't at least have that. Like we don't even, the Giants don't even have close to the first pick. And it's like, oh, you know what? Maybe the difference between the 7th and the 5th pick, like whatever, that's what it's like. They have nothing. So it's like, just go out, try to win the game.
And Adam Schefter has like 3 articles on all the ball boys that they're interviewing actually to replace the ball boys as one of the positions that they're thinking turning this over is going to change the franchise.
What the real good ball boys?
Travis Etienne needs to get his balls from different boys.
Oh man.
Anyways, love Seattle -3.5 at home against the Steelers. I think that's it that was cute. Mason Rudolph, Merry Christmas. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. He is going to crash land. The Seahawks are going to win this. Again, back against the wall. They need to win. The Seahawks Steelers still stink. George Pickens caught 3 passes for 7,000 yards. That's not going to happen twice. That's it. It's not a lot of, I feel like this is a lot of just like shoot your shot here. Any insight, or you want me to keep going?
Oh no, that's kind of it. Yeah, Steelers I think are still bad.
They're out.
It is crazy that they're 8-7. That
they're going to lose this one, then they're going to beat. I believe they play the Jets last, and Mike Tomlin's going to finish 9-8.
You know, it's what he does.
That's how he does it. 49ers Commanders under 49.5.
49.5.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's, you know, the Howell, I guess, if he's the quarterback, is still like top 3 in passing.
Yeah.
They do score a lot of points. I just think I just don't. I think the 49ers are going to beat the shit out of them because of what happened to them. And I do not think the Commanders are going to score a ton of points. 49.5 is a lot of points for 2 good teams. And I don't like, I think the 49ers maybe score like 35-10.
Yeah.
Like that's a good score. 37-10. You know what I mean?
40-7.
40-7, right.
40-6. Yeah,
right. Yeah. So that to me feels like an easy under. And then my Uber lock, which I don't even like to say it, but I'm going to do it because if I lose this, I'm happy. I'm going to take Kansas City -7 at home against Cincinnati.
Ooh, -7, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think I think Kansas City's been embarrassed about enough. I don't think they're a very good team, but I also think Jake Browning isn't a very good quarterback. I still don't know the health of Jamar Chase. I think Joe Mixon has hit that point in the year where he's kind of irrelevant again because he's no tread on those tires. I still think Kansas City's defense has got something to play for, and either we're going to find, so if Kansas City gets beat or it's even really close, then we know that locker room is lost. Like it's division because they cannot unite to try to do something. Patrick Mahomes, it's not even about blowing their doors off. It's about the Kansas City defense needs to continue to hold Cincy under a ton of points, and Mahomes can't turn the ball over multiple times.
Yeah, no, I like that. And really,
and they're at home, and they've been at home. They're really tough, right? I mean,
it's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Like, I feel like the recency, like, they have not been great, obviously, but I feel like they can get it together to beat the Bengals by more than a touchdown.
And I feel like we're getting points there because the narrative is that they stink.
Yeah.
That line would be 9.5 if they didn't lose to the Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just that Raiders also so bad, but it was also because of 2 defensive touchdowns.
Right.
And that's not going to happen again. I just don't think that Mahomes can give up 2 defensive touchdowns to another team. But
I mean, if he does and he sucks and this is it, it's the end of his career. All right, so be it.
The end of his career.
All right. You know, you had a good run. You got a nice family. You made a bunch of money. See you, Patrick.
All right, Kansas City -7. But I know I do like that. I think that they I've kind of been thinking this all season that they're going to finally turn it on, and they keep just kind of puttering around. But
they're going to turn it on here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still, they're 9-6. They just need to close out the AFC West.
Ironically, helping the Bills if they do that, because it's Cincinnati and I believe If Pittsburgh loses and Cincinnati loses, we clinch with a win.
Okay.
And so basically it could turn out that it's going to be Bills and Chiefs. If we don't win the division, we're playing the Chiefs in round 1 in Arrowhead. There you go. Here we go
Oh,
again.
boy.
Here we go again.
Can't wait.
Gabe Davis, tighten those sneakers up. Let's go. Or the cleats, not the sneakers. Do you think he wears sneakers on like the games he catches no passes?
That would be insane.
That might be it.
Are you doing that?
All right, the stinky dog has like a Pokemon. It's upgraded. It's the stank dog.
Oh,
This stinks.
it's
What do
bad.
they call it? It's evolved. It's a Pokemon. It evolved. I hit one, now it evolves. The stank dog. Sarah, your must. Detroit over Dallas.
Money
Oh my
line.
god.
Money line.
Oh my God.
Sorry, the skid keeps coming. You already clinched the playoffs, so I can't hurt you that bad. Titans over Texans.
Okay, I like that.
I'd like Tannehill playing for a backup job in his future.
And the Texans, I don't think are that good anymore.
CJ Stroud might come back, but he's had 4 weeks off, a lot of rust. Panthers over the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. This is our stankiest dog. So it's an
Wow.
upgrade. So you're gonna get an upgrade in your that is 29, that's 30-1.
It's the
Plus
line on that.
2960.
Plus
That's
2960.
for the for the layman's, that's 30-1.
2960.
Yeah.
Oh, you bet.
So you bet $10, you win $300 essentially.
You can carve off a little piece of your stinky dog winnings from last week and just sprinkle.
Let's
a little
put
bit.
$10 on this, because what if we get hot?
What if?
It's upset season.
That's what they say.
I will be removing the Lions, but I will support on the other two, Titans and Panthers.
That's fine. I can give you hold on, I'll give you odds on that real quick.
I respect
I
that.
just
Yeah, because
have
that's
it pulled up.
you just can't do that.
I can't lose 3 in a row.
It's not,
I
but I
can't.
only put Dallas in there because you've already clinched a playoff spot.
Okay.
That kind of feels a little bit like but no, I still love you. Everything's fine.
Yeah, but
Okay,
don't worry.
It's all right. Hold on. So if you just did Titans
And Panthers.
You're still gonna get a good line on that.
plus 871.
That's still great.
Okay.
All right,
right.
take Detroit and Dallas out of there. Take them out.
If you
Take them
want.
out. No,
Yeah.
remove them.
No, the stinky dog. This,
They're on
this-
there. I already wrote it on here.
this is the stinky dog. The stank dog is if you throw in Detroit also. That's the
It's a
stanky
stinky
cat.
dog. You evolve it to a stank.
Yeah, if you
do
throw in
Detroit.
if you do
Okay.
Detroit. So a lot of money there.
Okay.
All right. So a little recap of Blazel's best bet. Thursday props. Both of the defenses to score a touchdown. Don't parlay them. Just
Do not.
bet them separate. Have some fun with it. Root for defense. Cleveland D and Jets D. The loves of this week. We got Rams minus 4.5 at the Giants. Or against the Giants. Where's that game?
They're home.
That-
They're in New
yeah,
York.
they're in New
New
York.
Jersey.
At Carolina plus 6.5 at Jacksonville. Seattle minus 3.5 against the Steelers. And we got
They're home against the Steelers.
home against the Steelers.
Yep.
Yes. And we got 49ers Commanders under 49.5. That is a tremendous amount of points. Then we got the Uber lock, Kansas City minus 7 against Cincy. Get right game. Sinky dog is Titans and Panthers money line. You want to really make it stank. Get it 30 to
Ooh.
run. Throwing Detroit over Dallas. That's not for Sarah though. We're doing that. We're doing that. We're just trying to make money here. Sarah, it's nothing personal.
Yeah,
But listen, we
Sarah, you put a couple bucks on there and Dallas loses. You might still kind of be like,
like, all right. You're in the
I can't put
playoffs.
myself in that position again.
You're in the playoffs. You're in the playoffs.
have you started to look at positioning and where you want to end up?
No, to me, like as a Cowboys fan, you can't trust anything.
Mhm.
I don't know where I want to end up.
As it stands right now, I believe you would play Tampa Bay.
I feel like that's just like we got them.
Every
I don't
game,
know.
right?
I mean, how embarrassing would it be to lose to Baker Mayfield in the playoffs?
Do you think I
Scary.
want to lose to Patrick Mahomes again in Kansas?
But at least,
No.
yeah, it's
No.
Patrick Mahomes.
I think the Bucks would be a really good matchup for the Cowboys. I don't think Baker would be able to do anything with their defensive line. So I would take that for sure. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking like, do I want to lose to revamped Baker Mayfield in the playoffs?
I'm just saying, for me to you should start. You got to dive into like, if we lose and we end up here, who do we play? Because you might line up. I might want to play the Eagles if I were you.
No, I do. I welcome that. I
Yeah.
said that after last week's game.
Get
I was
down
like,
to the
I absolutely
7th seed
welcome the
and
challenge
lose
of
to
facing the
Detroit.
Eagles.
Yep.
Yep.
drop down to the 7th seed, bump off the Eagles. I think you guys would smoke them in round 1. I really do.
I know.
I really do. And then if you beat them, you're as far away from the 49ers as you can be. See?
Yeah.
See?
Wow. You're
Kinda
putting
like
out
that
some good
stank
facts
dog,
for the
huh?
people to get into the Stanky Dog Pro out here.
I think was that we're back to the bargaining. Is that what we're at bargaining?
Yeah.
No, I'm just, yeah.
Well, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Another great podcast. I love you guys. Follow us on Instagram at Play Your Yards Right. Follow Mike on X at Play Your Bets Right. Follow all of the exciting bets plus some good funny memes. Life is good. Giants are bad. We potentially got two or three playoff teams in here, so that'll keep the playoff podcasts exciting and interesting for the listeners. So we
Did you say
appreciate
3 playoff teams?
I said 2 of 3. 2 of 3.
What
Oh,
if,
I thought you
what if
said
the
2 or
Giants
3. I'm
rattle
like,
off 7 wins for next week?
The Giants are officially eliminated from the playoffs.
Hey, last podcast of 2023.
Absolutely. Cheers for you
See you
guys.
guys next year.
See you next year, everybody.
Merry Christmas to you guys. We will talk to you in the new year. We love you. Thank you so much.